You're about to watch what we call an extended clip of the Young Turks, and the reality is it's somewhere in the middle. It's a little longer than our YouTube clips, but it's actually shorter than the whole 2-hour show, which you can get if you're a member. You can get it ad-free, and make sure you catch every news story we do that day. You're gonna love it as a full show. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. Thanks for watching. All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Wonderful Monday show ahead for you guys. I will have a lot of fascinating stories for you later in the program. One that we're going to get to in a little bit is different creative ways that conservatives are coming up with to blame everything but guns for yet another school massacre. So they've got some really interesting new ones, ones I had not even considered. So you're going to want to check that out later in the program. But in the next segment, I am going to unload on a hatchet job from the mainstream media, in this case Politico. It targets Our Revolution and its leader, Nina Turner. It pretends to care about Bernie Sanders in a hilarious way, which I will explain to you guys. That's all in the next segment, don't miss it. Obviously, if you're a member, you get the whole show anytime you want, commercial free, tyt.com/join to become a member. All right, now, before we get to that super serious stuff, let's turn to some stuff that's serious, but come on, a little amusing. So let's go over here. Glenn Beck, if you don't know, is ardently against Donald Trump. He thinks that it might actually lead us to a place we might not recover from. And give him credit for being conservative, but being principled, and he's not going to give in to Donald Trump, who of course has no principles, and said, wait a minute, he's wearing a MAGA hat. That's curious. So this guy who vowed that he would never support Trump and has shown in 1,000 different ways what's wrong with Trump from a conservative perspective, all of a sudden does this.
And they were spinning it as if he was saying that about all immigrants. I'd had enough. I'd have enough. Media, if you can get me, Glenn Beck, to do this, and in case you're only listening to us on radio, I just donned a red Make America Great Again hat. If you can drive me to the point to where I say, you know what, I've had enough. I'll vote for him in 2020. Gladly, I'll vote for him in 2020. And not really even on his record, which we'll talk about here in a second, is pretty damn amazing. But if you can drive me to the point to where I'll wear one of these stupid red hats, I'm telling you, you're making a gigantic mistake, and I welcome it. I welcome it.
So he's pretending that he's doing this because the media has driven him to the edge. The way they talked about how Donald Trump referred to undocumented immigrants as animals, when he was in fact talking about MS-13. Well, look, in that exchange, a reporter did ask him about MS-13, and then he went out to talk about how we are sending so many people back, but they're not really people, they're animals. So it was clear to, I think, everybody that watched that clip that he was referring to a far broader section of undocumented immigrants than MS-13. Why are we sending MS-13 back? I thought they decapitate people. Well, shouldn't they be in jail? Come on, we're still having this conversation as to whether Donald Trump has said horrific things about undocumented immigrants in general. He called them criminals and rapists in his first press conference. Now for Beck to shed crocodile tears over, oh my God, the media has maligned Donald Trump. Okay, that's why I'm doing this. No, that's not why he's doing this. I'll explain why he's doing it in a second, but first, more hilarious groveling.
I ask forgiveness on from Donald Trump on this. Please forgive me, Mr. Trump, for predicting that you will sweep in 2020. Because every time I ever am for a candidate, they always lose. So I won't endorse you because that's the kiss of death. But I will tell you, the things that you have done as the president are remarkable. Remarkable.
Remarkable. You're pretty damn amazing and remarkable. Let's watch earlier Glenn Beck on Donald Trump.
The people are speaking clearly, and there's two ways to go. Anger and nationalism, which has been done before in history. And you can go for nationalism, you can go for anger.
Trump is Adolf Hitler?
If you look at what's happening with Donald Trump and his playing to the lowest common denominator and to the anger in us, you know, Adolf Hitler, we all look at Adolf Hitler in 1940. We should look at Adolf Hitler in 1929. He was a kind of a funny kind of character that said the things that people were thinking. Where Donald Trump takes it, I have absolutely no idea. But Donald Trump is a dangerous man with the things that he has been saying.
Just 2 years ago, he was Adolf Hitler. I'm going to remind you of the quote you just heard a little bit earlier. Glenn Beck, I will tell you, the things that you have done as the president are remarkable. Remarkable. What a wonderfully broken man. But he's not done yet. Watch.
I yesterday went and looked at your campaign promises, and then I looked at what you've done. I'm going to do that on the radio here in just a second. It's remarkable. And in fact, just Israel alone may be the ballsiest and best thing I have ever seen any president do in my lifetime. And that's saying something because I'm a pretty big fan of, killing communism with Ronald Reagan.
So Hitler helped Israel so much that you've decided now to be a MAGA guy. Oh, the pretty little lies that we tell. So I have my own theory. First, I'm going to share an anonymous friend of Glenn Beck talking to the Daily Beast said this, that this was, quote, desperate and predictable act of a man hanging on to his last shred of relevance by a thread, trying desperately to woo back the massive number of fans lost when he poses Trump. Sad. I love that last little line. Nice little dig. In a reference to Donald Trump's tweets. Okay, so what's going on here? Two things. Number one, on the left, we care about intellectual honesty and principles, etc. So I criticized Obama 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 10,000 times. Now, we didn't criticize him about the stupid things that the Republicans went after him for. He wore the wrong color suit. He held a coffee cup while saluting a Marine. He puts mustard on his burger, or even fake scandals like the IRS. Turns out they looked into more liberals than conservatives, but they wouldn't shut up about it because they have an agenda they're driving. But we did have a ton of legitimate criticisms for him. We told him not to drill in the Gulf, and we said don't kill civilians with signature drone strikes. And we were principled, and we remained that way for 8 years. But on the right, they love authoritarianism. So they look for an alpha male, and most of them are betas. So whenever they see what they perceive to be an alpha, eventually they all do this. Oh, yeah, I submit. And so this picture now of Glenn Beck goes in the pantheon of wonderfully sad and broken men that lies in Donald Trump's wake. It goes along with, of course, this other picture that you're familiar with. Old friend Ted Cruz. Okay, so part of it is the audience does not want you to contradict the dear leader. It wants you to bow your head and put a MAGA hat on. So then Beck does the cute little thing of, it's a stupid red hat, and I'm not endorsing you because that wouldn't turn out well for you. Look, I'm being self-effacing and I'm being slightly principled. No. The whole point is for you to put on that stupid red hat and say, I submit. And you did that by explaining how remarkable our dear leader is. You've been remarkable. Oh, God, that is so wonderfully sad. Okay. So the other point is that organization he's running, The Blaze, no one has ever named an organization better than Glenn Beck. It is on fire. Okay, and he's trying to put out the fire desperately. He's like, okay, all right, I don't know. Somebody hand me a MAGA hat. Somebody, I gotta do something here.
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of On the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
There is almost literally a fire sale going on at the Blaze. They're losing money massively. That's because, as I've told you from day one when they started that organization, Glenn Beck is not a businessman. The conservatives are notoriously terrible at running businesses, at least in the media sphere. In the media sphere, they're like, where's Daddy Warbucks? Where's my daddy? Where's my Sheldon Adelson, please, please, please. Robert Mercer, I'm begging you, the Koch brothers. They can't actually turn a profit. They can't run sustainable businesses. So they look for billionaire people to come, and donors to come and give them money so they could run their operation as basically propaganda for their patron. So that's the second reason why he put the hat on. So he could say, now, Adelson, I know you really like him, especially what he did with Israel. Please, please, I'm begging you, please buy the place. I know it's worthless, but it's good marketing, and you're gonna get billions of dollars in tax cuts, and you already did. We can get you more tax cuts. Go, I'll put on that, I'll put it on. Pathetic, sad baby. Oh my God, please, here's what I want. Last thing, Ted Cruz put the little cherry on top by doing that fawning description of Donald Trump for Time magazine about how he's one of the 100 great men, right? Oh, Donald Trump, the things that he insulted your wife, he called her ugly, he said your father was a murderer, right? So, and he went and did that anyway. Glenn Beck, we're looking for that last cherry, right? Where you maybe go to the White House and you kiss his hand or something. Conservatives, it's actually surprisingly easy to break them. Just push them a little bit, and whenever they need money, they will grovel. Okay, I think I'm clear on that. We're moving. Okay, we'll go to other conservatives that are problematic for other reasons. Pete Hegseth apparently is one of Donald Trump's favorite anchors. He's on Fox and Friends often, and now we can see why, because just when you thought Fox couldn't get any worse, and does anybody really think that? Just tune in on any given day, they'll get worse. Hegseth thinks innocent lives lost, children. Nah, wait, you think I'm exaggerating? Hold, watch the video.
50 of them being members of Hamas.
We should separate out. There could be some innocent Palestinians, including children, who were killed.
Because Hamas told them to go to the front of the line and get shot.
There are some innocent people who died. Caught in crossfire, whatever it is, children. Let's just point that out.
Yeah.
Wow. Meh. Innocent children who died. Meh. Yeah. He literally said that. You just saw it with your own eyes. He's such a bad guy. They really are. In case you're wondering about what the facts are, Ed Henry there is saying, hey, come on, we should actually care about innocent civilians. So a little bit of credit there to Ed Henry, but that's a perfectly normal thing to say. I mean, we're having to give credit to people on Fox News for saying murdering innocent children may be not a good thing while other anchors disagree with them. Now, in reality, Fox News paints this as completely, oh, it's all the Palestinians' fault and the poor Israelis. They were just forced to kill those 60 innocent people. And by the way, if you're wondering if they actually are innocent or not, we did long coverage for you guys. We showed you the guys that are throwing the rocks and the burning tires. We also gave you firsthand reports from media outlets like the New York Times, Doctors Without Borders who were there doing human rights, and the United Nations, all saying most of the people that were killed were unarmed civilians. And they were hundreds of yards away from the fence, had no chance of hitting the Israeli soldiers at all. And it took, the plastic bullets couldn't even reach them. It took snipers to reach and kill those protesters. Now, you're not gonna hear that on Fox News because they're busy blaming the Palestinians. Now, it's a really serious issue, and we're gonna go back to that because he's gonna say even, well, you can't say worse things than that, but he's gonna say equally reprehensible things in a second. But we shouldn't be surprised that Pete Hegseth does not care about innocent human lives, given that this was another Fox News segment they had done earlier. Watch.
Pete and Clayton are facing off. They're testing their skills with the axe. Who's gonna win this battle of the lumberjacks? That's coming up next. I'm putting my money on Clayton. Who's gonna win this battle of the lumberjacks? That's coming up next.
Who's gonna win this battle of the lumberjacks? That's coming up next.
Who throws an axe in the middle of Manhattan? If you're wondering if there was someone behind that target, unfortunately, the answer is yes. Watch. Monstrously immoral and monstrously stupid. Luckily, the blade of the axe didn't hit that guy. He was hurt, but he recovered. He's okay now. Did no one on your gigantic staff think, maybe we shouldn't throw an axe in case you miss in the middle of Manhattan? And especially with guys behind the targets. When asked to respond, Hegseth said, meh. So, now let's get back to serious stuff. Here he is, more on the Israeli-Palestinian situation.
Hamas, terrorist groups
yes, I
that
agree with
charge
you.
the fence and die for us.
But there
They're to blame
could have been
for the
innocent
kids'
people.
death.
But a human being is a human being, regardless of what those
But the
numbers
responsibility
are.
for the
That's
death
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But if a
let's not
terrorist
celebrate
sends the kid
terrorists.
out
I
front,
agree with
the
that.
terrorist is to blame. The innocent blood is on the hands of the terrorists who put the kid out to charge a fence with no prospect.
All right. Well, as you can see, Pete is irate about this.
This is why people get fired up about it. It's total misinformation.
A lot of.
So he also blamed the guy who got hit with the axe, saying it's his fault that he was standing in the way of my axe, right? It's almost that comical, that proposition that I had to use snipers to kill people, according to the UN, 700 meters away. That's 7 football fields away, because they made me do it. They made me do it. The sniper in his scope saw a kid 7 football fields away and said, he made me do it. He made me shoot him and kill him. Okay, he's not done yet. Watch.
It's just, we use vague words like Palestinians and innocents, and it's like, no. Hamas wants to wipe Israel off the map.
But Ed makes a good point.
Wait, what is vague about the word Palestinian or the word innocent? They were unarmed, according to the bystanders who were there, okay? The majority of the people who were shot and killed, let alone the hundreds, and according to sources, thousands who were injured. The great majority of them were unarmed and hit by sniper fire. But it's their fault for getting hit by sniper fire. How come Israeli defense forces, according to Pete Hegseth, not me, are so stupid that they would fall for the Hamas trap? Oh, this is gonna help Hamas. All right, let's just kill the kids anyway. Oh gosh, maybe we shouldn't have killed the kids. Hamas made us do it, right? Okay, then let's talk about his thing about Hamas wants to wipe Israel off the map. The Palestinian state is literally not on the map as Palestine because Israel will not allow it. The occupation has gone on for how many decades now? And then ironically, the main talking point they use is they want to wipe us off the map. What? You have wiped them off the map. You literally will not allow the Palestinian state, and you have it under armed occupation. And if anyone gets within 7 football fields of of a fence, you shoot and kill them. But somehow they're the ones killing civilians? No. You literally killed civilians. You literally will not allow them on the map. You literally deny their existence and turn around and go, oh, I can't believe how they deny my existence. Well, the United Nations and every other country recognizes Israel. It exists, it's right there. And by the way, for any of the Palestinians to say that, oh, Israel shouldn't exist, what a preposterous pipe dream. It does exist. And they're saving that for negotiations, and it's a silly negotiation ploy. Get past it already. Both sides should exist, but there's only one side that is not only blocking the other side from existing, but will kill anyone that dares to defy that. But what does Fox and Pete Hegseth say? Oh, the civilians who wanted their freedom and were murdered instead. Meh. Young Turks.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. You're only halfway through, so hold, stay right here. Just want to remind you, if you want to get all 5 segments of the Young Turks commercial free, these are just 2 of them. Every day we do it. So go to tytnetwork.com/join and you get the whole 5 segments, 2 hours, ad free. Do it now.
All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Disney Princess says, so Trump supporters hate Muslims, but not the rich ones. They hate Jews, but not Israel. Bringing a right-winger must be tiring. And Morning My Son says, Cynthia Nixon's got Cuomo, worried. I'm gonna soften that blow a little bit. He's had to move so far left and actually govern. In the immortal words of Anna Kasparian,
at TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your activity more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
He no like that.
Yes. I was just thinking that in the back of my mind as you were reading that. That's hilarious.
And Anna, can I just tell you something? Part of the reason I'm reading that tweet, other than the fact that it's great and it's funny, is that I read the Politico piece and I got to that paragraph and I thought in my head, he no like
He no
that.
like that.
Anyway, Morning My Son with the finish of that tweet was, this was such a pathetic and obvious hit piece and it's straight out of Hillary's playbook. Same crap she did to Bernie. And so that never gets old for the establishment. But all these so-called liberal writers in the media, where are you? Where's the hit piece on the establishment? Where's the positive pieces about progressive groups? I've literally seen one, I think. Not a hit piece, but one positive piece. By the way, they're going one by one now on a lot of the Justice Democrats. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And doing a different hit piece on each one of them. The establishment loves to play dirty. So anyway, let's save that for tomorrow. All right, what's next?
All right. 2 American citizens, I'm talking about 2 individuals who were born in the United States, were detained for 45 minutes by a Border Patrol agent simply because they were heard speaking Spanish. A Border Patrol agent detained and questioned a woman and her friend, both US citizens, when he overheard them speaking Spanish at a gas station in Montana. Apparently, this is a town that's about 30 miles away from the US-Canadian border. And so that was all he needed. All he needed to do was hear 2 individuals speaking Spanish, and apparently that was enough for him to detain them and start asking questions. The women were Ana Suda and Mimi Hernandez. And Ana Suda said the following: we were just talking, and then I was going to pay. I looked up and saw the agent, and then after that, he just requested my ID. I looked at him like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, very serious. Now, just to give you an idea of where these two women are born, Ana Suda was born in El Paso, Texas. Mimi Hernandez is originally from Central California. So the Border Patrol agent told them, quote, "Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your ID is because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here."
Okay, let's pause here to analyze that statement. First of all, the Border Patrol do have more leeway within 100 miles of the border, but they're near the Canadian border. So he's like, since I don't hear Spanish often in rural Montana, I've decided that you crossed the other border, which is thousands of miles away, and somehow snuck all the way up here. What were they trying to do? Get into Canada? Right? But that logic is not necessary. And then you can't just stop people for speaking a different language. Even within 100 miles of the border, they might have more leeway, but they need some reasonable suspicion. They don't need probable cause, which is a heavier standard, but they need reasonable suspicion. You ask Border Patrol, they say, well, there's a number of factors that go into reasonable suspicion. What other factors were involved here? Can't name any, right?
Exactly.
So does that mean that if anyone, by the way, 2/3 of the country lives within 100 miles of one of our borders, right? So does that mean anyone speaking Spanish now we are going to say is reasonable suspicion to stop them? They were detained for 35 to 40 minutes in the parking lot. They just went to go get some snacks, right?
Yeah, some milk and eggs.
And they showed ID. What else do you want them to do, right? Nope.
But even showing ID, there wasn't. Their activity did not meet the standard necessary for this Border Patrol agent to ask them questions, to detain them, to ask for ID. Like, this is ridiculous to say the least. And these are people who were born in the United States. These are US citizens. How is this okay, right? So if you are a US citizen, this should outrage you, regardless of where you stand on immigration. Because no one, first of all, no one should be harassed simply because they're speaking Spanish. But I mean, if we create a situation where we allow this type of hatred to just spread, right, especially under the Trump administration, then anyone can just be harassed for doing something as innocent as speaking a foreign language. And by the way, this story made me want to only speak Armenian in public places, right? Just to be defiant. This is outrageous.
Yeah, so by the way, if you're a right-winger out there going, yeah, man, you gotta speak English, man. Whatever the local language is, you gotta speak it, otherwise you should be arrested. And usually, I know you talk like that. So be careful what you wish for, because if you go down to Miami, you might have an agent that says, English is not normally spoken here. So we just had to stop you because it was so abnormal and had to detain you. Do you like the other? Right? By the way, English is also not the official language. It's not mandated, it's not a law that you have to speak English or a law that you can't speak any other language. I believe this is supposed to be a free country until at least the Trump people took over. But to me, the two most important parts actually was when her 7-year-old daughter asked her, Mommy, does that mean I shouldn't speak Spanish in public? Will I get arrested? Okay. And then she gave this quote. She said, about the town, Suda did. It's in Montana. It's a nice town. I don't think it's a confrontational people here, but now I feel like if I speak Spanish, somebody's gonna say something to me. It's different after something like this because you start thinking and thinking. And to me, that's the most important part because they put it in your head, you're doing something wrong and we could come after you. And you better know your role and you better know your place. We're in charge and you're not. But the reality is they're citizens. They're 100% citizens, they're 100% Americans. You don't get to tell them what language to speak, and you don't get to question them. So, and if this cop or Border Patrol agent or any of them are pulling people over when they don't have reasonable suspicion, it's those guys who should be investigated. We still believe in the rule of law in this country.
All right, we're about to get into a bunch of right-wing commentary in regard to the shooting that took place in Texas. Before we do that, I want to go to a quick break just to kind of break things up, and don't miss the next segment. It is a doozy.
This is the one that I tease for you guys about all the different excuses they have other than guns, and some are spectacular and new.
Thanks for watching what I hope was a lovely edition of the Young Turks. Now, you know that is 2 of the 5 segments that we do because that's free. We want to have you support independent media and come watch the whole show that we do every day. That's 5 segments overall, no ads at all. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. Come become a member. Thanks for watching either way. Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.